Hello, and welcome to episode 236 of the Casual Tryhard Podcast. I'm Brian,
And I'm James.
and we are going to talk about Commander Masters, but not for
What?
but not for anything about Commander.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of rarity changes in this set, which
Even more than normal, right?
a ton. I
Like
guess
even for a Masters product, I think this is a lot.
there was a lot. So we're going to talk about cards that are new to some formats and maybe where they fall, and then like some cards that might be getting cheaper
Mhm.
because of the reprinting and the lower rarity. So it's more of like just a heads up of like, here are things that are happening if you like zoned out on this product.
Yeah. And just to keep you guys abreast of the situation, we're coming up on a time of year that's a little bit weird for us. I'm going on vacation beginning of August, and Brian's got some stuff going on around the house, so we're gonna double up on episodes, and I think we're going to probably do some more of that Color Pie stuff. So we're gonna pre-record some stuff to come out while we're not recording.
While we're busy.
Yeah,
Well, busier.
just to give you guys a heads up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
that's true. Busier.
So if you want to reach out to us on social media, say hey, suggest some topics. We are getting back to the fall where there's probably going to be a little bit more steady flow of things. But all of those links, Facebook, Discord, X,
X.
the artist formerly known as Twitter. I like refreshed my Twitter and the bird was gone and there was just a big X in the corner. And I was just
That's
like,
where you click to close it.
I guess that's where. But yeah, all of those are in the description. So again, like, I guess we'll be on Twitter until like it closes down, which apparently is going to happen the next like month or two.
Yeah, who
And
knows?
then find
Then
us
you'll
on
have
Mastodon or whatever. I don't know.
You'll have to zeet at us.
Zeet, yeah.
Yeah, hit us up wherever you feel like hitting us up. Discord's probably the best place. I think we both monitor Discord more than the rest of them. So if you really want to get seen quickly, hit us up there. If you don't care about how quickly you get seen, hit us up some of the other places. If you're looking to support the show, there's a couple different ways you can do it. The first doesn't cost you guys a dime, and that's our TCG Player affiliate link. It's casualtryhard.com/TCG. Follow that link on over to TCG Player, and anything you purchase after that, we will get a percentage to help keep the show going. We would really appreciate it if you would do that. Like I said, it doesn't cost you guys anything. We know you're buying singles and product anyway. If you, for whatever reason, don't want to support your local game store, if you don't have a great one, or if there isn't one close to you, or if you want to purposely support the show, or if you just like cheap prices, TCG Player is how you can do that. The link is casualtryhard.com/TCG. If you guys want to support us more directly, you can do so at patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg. Patrons get access to our show notes, so you get a sneak peek about what the upcoming episode is going to be about. Patrons also get access to our pre-show, roundabouts an hour. We went a little bit long this morning talking about some Magic stuff for a change. It's not hasn't been super recently where we talked about Magic stuff in the pre-show, but it's just kind of us catching up. We don't see each other nearly as often as we used to, and we're old, and sometimes technology gets the better of us. So we do the pre-show just to make sure our equipment's still working. We record that and upload it completely unscripted, unedited, and patrons get access to basically that in all of its glory, for better or worse. The patrons really seem to like it, though, so we keep doing it, and they keep listening to it.
So thank you.
So thank you. Also, I do givebacks roughly every other month. I just sent them out on Monday. So if you were trying to get in before I sent them out, I apologize. But patrons, keep an eye out for them in the mail. You should be getting them at some point this week. Like I said, I put them in the mailbox on Saturday, but they wouldn't have gone out till today. So keep an eye out for those. And I only have one more round that's printed, so I need to get on getting the next round printed. If any of the patrons have any other tokens that they would like to see get the CTH treatment, let me know. Any tokens that you play in your EDH decks or any other decks you have that you commonly use, let me know and I'll do my best to get them made up for you guys. Also, non-patrons, if you have favorite tokens that would coax you into becoming a patron, you can let me know as well. I will see what I can do about having them minted for you. But yeah, patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg. Hook us up. We'd appreciate it.
Yes, please. So, I think the most notable thing from Commander Masters, outside of what it costs, which has been a major point of contention, the packs are like $10. And
this product is not for me, so I don't care what it costs.
And
you guys can either buy it or not.
and the pre-con decks are like $80.
Yeah.
So it's
Seems
a lot.
absurd.
So there's been a lot of talk about that, but there's also been a lot of changes of rarity in this set. So my Scryfall skills are getting better, but they're not good enough for me to figure out how to sort out the cards from the set that are from the pre-con. Maybe I should just look on like how many cards are in Commander Masters. Commander Masters.
Well, I mean, for our purposes, it doesn't matter if they're in a pre-con or not, right?
Yeah, but there were like 700 cards, 697 cards that are reprints.
Okay.
According to Scryfall. And of them, 130 were rarity shifted.
Wow.
Which is a ton.
That is a ton.
Right? So, I got my 130 number. If anyone wants to check me, maybe I'll put this in the description or you can figure it out yourself. If you do a Scryfall search for set, CMM, is : reprint, and then new : rarity. That's every reprint in the set that has a new rarity.
Okay.
And so there were 130 cards. So I wanted to go over some of those cards, particularly the cards that are going to be legal in Pauper, and some that are going to be legal for if you have a peasant cube or you're like our boy Brad, who is a fan of uncommon creatures, or PDH commander.
Can we take a quick break real quick?
Sure.
Because we mention Brad all of the time.
We do.
And I think, judging by his Twitter, I think Brad has championed the PDH format.
Yes.
From what I can tell, he is the driving force behind it. And it seems like it's really catching on. So
it is.
You guys should check out his podcast, PDH Pod.
Yeah, and so on Twitter, if I can find my Twitter, if I can find my X again.
Your X.
Yeah, it is. Oh, there it is. He's in Discord. He's Drac V _ pop. He's at Popper _ B is his Twitter, and he's like Drac V in Discord.
In Discord.
So PDH, and we've talked about it probably more than most podcasts because like we know
other than Brad's,
is you get to use any creature as an uncommon, any uncommon or common creature as your commander.
Is it common? I thought it was just uncommon.
Is it just uncommon? I thought you could use.
I
use Slippery Bogle. He's a common.
Oh, okay.
It deck wasn't good, but I used it. And only pants. And then your 99 of your commander deck is only commons.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if Wizards is purposely pumping up this format, but they are dumping a ton of uncommon legends into the format through this set. But yeah, you guys should check that out if you're into that. He does like live gameplay on like Twitch on Saturday evenings.
I think he's been doing it a couple times a week.
Yeah, he's the thing. So there are 4. I broke the cards into 4 categories. Right. So first there is, wow, this is in Pauper now. And these are mostly uncommon to common rarity shifts.
Correct.
And then,
Are there any like mythic to common rarity shifts?
not that I didn't look super close, but there wasn't anything that I looked at and was like, that used to be a rare. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So nothing jumped out at me, but I didn't click through every card to check the, like its print
What it was.
history. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I have my new to peasant cube / PDH,
Mhm.
which were rare to uncommon prints.
Yep.
And then I've wanted this but never felt like paying for it or buying it, which are mythic to rare shifts.
Yep.
And then I have You Greedy Monsters, which are rarity upshifts. And there were a handful
Yeah.
of those.
There's some caveats in that
Yeah.
section. That
There's
we'll talk
definitely
about.
some that I am fine with, and then there are some that I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Right. Like, you only did this because it was expensive. So for the this is new in Pauper now, or this is in Pauper now, in the like new to peasant cube and PDH, we're gonna talk, I think, a little bit more about the cards. And then because they're new to those like formats and environments.
Right. A rarity upshift doesn't change its legality anywhere.
Exactly.
So that's more of like a financial thing, and we can generalize those.
Exactly.
Whereas the downshifts, we want to talk play by play a little bit.
Yeah, and then like mythic to rare also doesn't change the format legality anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so like just anything where there's like new stuff coming into a format. Now, in the this is in Pauper section, there are 41 cards that got downshifted from uncommon to common.
That is a ton.
That is a ton. I think that one of my thoughts is there's been a lot of people unhappy with the state of Pauper for the last 6 months. And my guess is that Gavin didn't have the Pauper committee do anything because he knew they were throwing...
We're going to shake it up.
Yeah, they're throwing 41 uncommons into the format.
Yeah, I mean, the other side of that, though, is that this is ultimately a multiplayer product. This is meant to be a draft experience, if I remember correctly. Expensive as it might be, that's how the product was designed. And in doing that for multiplayer, the cards ultimately have to be a little bit more powerful. So it makes sense that like this would be a place for uncommon to common downshifts, just to bring the power level of the limited environment up so that you don't have like 7-hour rounds of EDH draft.
Yeah. Well,
like the games have to end.
Yeah, I don't think the rarity changes happen because of Pauper, but I think perhaps the inaction in the Pauper format was because they knew this was coming.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I know people are complaining about Monastery of Swiftspear, but don't worry, there's things to combat that.
Right.
So of the 41, I think I had 9, only 8 that I was like, hey, I think these are like good enough to like talk about, that either like fit in an archetype or could like make some sort of archetype. I guess I did lump a bunch together, so there's more than 8, but whatever. So the first one was All That Glitters.
Yeah, that's kind of a big deal, right?
Yeah, so it's basically the next, Ethereal Armor.
Yeah.
Is it Ethereal Armor? Yeah, Ethereal Armor's 5 through 8.
8. Yep.
Right? And just like super, like Bogles has been like a reasonable deck in that format in the past. And like this just gives it another like really pushed way to like get something big really fast.
Yeah.
Because you have now Ethereal Armor, All That Glitters, and Ancestral Mask. And you've got like...
We call that exponential growth.
Yeah, and then you have... what is it called? Slippery Bogle.
Gladecover Scout.
Gladecover Scout. And then I think Shalea Ledgelot Walker.
Oh, yep.
Is also... And is it the... I think there's like a green 2/1 Archer with Reach
Basara Tower Archer
Yeah, I
from
think it's a common.
Journey to Nyx.
Yeah, something like that. I think
Yeah.
it is. I think it's a common. So like you have a bunch of the creatures. Like you've got like your choice of creatures, and now you have like the bestest pants.
Yeah. It was an uncommon,
Oh, okay. I am sorry then.
and it was only printed in Journey to Nyx, so
Okay.
has
So
not been downshifted
okay,
yet.
not yet. But you still have the other one, Shaleal Edgewalker,
Yeah.
which has like built-in evasion, can only be blocked by flyers.
Yep.
So, but yeah, like this just helps push Bogles. Like if that was a deck you were interested in, it probably got way better.
Hmm. You
Um,
animal.
yes, you animal. The next two cards kind of go together.
Yeah.
So I have Cryptic Serpent, which is Dollar Store Tolarian Terror. So Tolarian Terror is like 6 in a blue.
Hmm.
And it has Ward. Cryptic Serpent is 5 blue
Blue.
blue. So it's always going to be one more expensive. It's a
Yep.
little bigger. It's a 6/5, but it doesn't have protection, right? But I could see it taking the spot of Gurmag Angler because Gurmag Angler requires you to exile your graveyard,
Yeah.
which while you could in theory slam it really early on, it then makes like every Tolarian Terror you draw after that worse.
Worse. Yeah.
Where this is maybe a little bit harder to slam early on,
Hmm.
but like just works really well with your Tolarian Terror. It's like, you know, you could have 3 mana and play 2, no problem. And then still if you top deck another one, your graveyard is still powered up for that.
Yeah. It's still intact.
Yeah. And the next one is Drowned in Sorrow. So I my Scryfall skills are improving, but I don't
Hmm.
know if I'm fully there yet. I tried to look for like common sorceries that give stuff neg 2,
Hmm.
and I couldn't find anything. So I think this is the first common give stuff neg 2
Okay.
in Popper. So I was going through some sideboards, and they have, I write down what they were. Oh, they play Shrivel, which is 1 in a black, everything gets neg 1. And
Yeah.
Suffocating Fumes, which is 2 in a black, everything gets neg 1, but it cycles. But think about like mono red. Um, all of the creatures, Monastery Swiftspear, Get to Lava Runner, like a lot of them are
Yeah.
X2s. So like
Cleans
those
them up
cards
nicely.
miss them. But Drown in Sorrow doesn't. You might have to rebuild your mana base because it's the only double black card that you would have in your deck.
Yeah.
But it is probably a like sideboard worthy card, or if you're like more controlling, a like main
Yeah.
deck card.
What were the ones that you named that you found?
Shrivel gives neg 1 for 2 mana
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
everything, and Suffocating Fumes is 3 mana for neg 1.
Yeah. There's also Mephitic Vapors. Is neg 1, Surveil 2 for 3 mana.
Okay,
And Nausea is -1/-1 for 2 mana.
okay. So there's not a neg 2.
No.
So this is
That is it.
yeah. So this is the first one of those, which is way more impactful with everything having a 2 but now because
Yes.
right, like oh hey, we made a set with Orcish Bowmasters, and none of the commons can just get wrecked by Bowmasters, so we gotta have a 2 but.
Yeah.
Or like, oh hey, we made like Ren and 6 in this Modern Horizon set. Everything has to have a 2 but because oh man, if they get a Ren and 6, it's just over. So, but like if you're into like blue black control, blue black terror, it might be worth kind of like looking at Cryptic Circuit and Serpent and Drown in Sorrow. And I couldn't figure out how you would build it, but like, is there like kind of a mono blue like counterspell, bounce spell, like kind of tempo? Like, I'm just gonna like bounce
Probably.
stuff and throw stuff in my yard and then slam giant things and like, cool, you resolved a 2/2. I'm gonna attack you with my 6/5 and my 5/5.
Yeah. I mean, it'd probably be kind of like, wasn't there an Explorer deck early on that was like blue black serpents. It
Maybe.
was it was just a bunch of like cantrips and self mill
Hmm.
and
I mean, there's mono blue fairies where you're playing
yeah.
like spell stutter skite and like Ninja of the Deep Hours. Like this is kind of like the bigger version of that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like it doesn't have like hard removal. So and like you don't want to play like uh, oh gosh, claustrophobia type effects when you want uh,
Right.
instants and sorceries in your graveyard.
In your graveyard. Yeah.
But it is like can give a new angle to that deck.
Hmm.
Um, then number 4 on the list is
A suite of cards.
a suite of cards. It's Dread Return, Lotleth Troll, and Mire Triton.
Lotleth Giant.
Lotleth Giant. I'm sorry. Lotleth Troll is a very different card.
Very different card.
Lotleth Giant. So, Dread Return, right? 2 black black, return a creature from your graveyard to your hand or to the battlefield.
Battlefield.
Yeah, but it has flashback, sack 3 creatures.
Yeah.
So like just
That's
sack 3
kind of a
things.
big deal by itself. Like even outside of the suite that you mentioned,
Mhm.
like that's kind of a big deal.
I
Like banned
mean,
in modern, big deal.
yeah, like oh gosh, Bryant Cook just played like a red black reanimator where he was playing oh gosh, the the 5 mana reanimation spell that like mills 3
Mhm.
from like whatever it's called. Oh gosh, one of the D&D sets.
Yeah.
And like Dread Return is just like a mana cheaper. Like it's late for dinner,
Yep.
but black, so you don't have to go into another color. Like you're weaker to graveyard hate, but you're just like a turn faster.
Well, I mean, it's also something that you can cast out of the graveyard if you self mill it.
Hmm. If you mill it somehow, yeah. So, um, but I was just saying, like in terms of like general reanimation spell, it's like
Oh yeah,
the
yeah.
best
It's
black reanimation spell in Pauper now, plus
absolutely
shenanigans,
right.
right? And so Lotleth Giant, when it ETBs, it deals damage. Like your opponent loses life equal to the number of creatures in your graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
So if you filled your graveyard with a bunch of creatures and a Dread Return, and then sacked 3 creatures and brought back your giant, you just get to dome your opponent.
Correct.
And Mire Triton mills a couple cards, has Death Touch, gains you 2 life when it comes in. It just lets you not die
Yep.
until you get to
Transitions you nicely.
do shenanigans.
Yep.
There's Balustrade Spy in the format,
Mm-hmm.
but not. I was looking for like the MDFC lands, but they're all an uncommon.
Yeah.
I also saw there's apparently I can't take credit for this. I forget who it was on Twitter. There's apparently a Cephalid advisor, which has
Okay.
the same text as Cephalid illusionist,
Okay.
which is if it becomes a target of a spell of or ability, discard like mill a card.
Yeah.
And Nomads and Core are in the format.
Okay.
So it's 5 mana for the Cephalid, so it ain't cheap. But you
Yeah.
can like do, Cephalid illusionist type things, but at a slower Pauper format, flip your whole deck. And they would provide you
And
2 of the 3 creatures.
and then I guess you would win by Dread returning Lotleth Giant because
Exactly.
you don't have a Labman Thoracle, whatever.
Yeah, as you would win off Lotleth Giant.
Yeah.
Uh the issue
Interesting.
the issue is there's I needed to do a search and I just kind of ran out of time. There's not like a Narcomoeba.
Right.
I don't know. Like, I think Nether Shadow is like probably an uncommon
No,
or
I
Nether
think Nether
Spirit
Shadows are rare.
or Nether Spirit, the one that
Like
comes
Nether
back.
Spirit's also a rare.
Okay. So I don't think there is like a common I come back from the graveyard for little to no investment.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
not sure.
I didn't have time to look, but like that is a thing to like mess around with and see if you can find a
I think like the skeletons all have a pretty substantial
like
like
mana
reassembling
cost.
skeleton. They're
Yeah,
like 3 mana usually.
yeah, which like I just want to do it for free. Just give
Yeah.
me.
I mean, you could do that, I guess, but
Yeah, you could. Like you could mill most of your deck and then have to like pass the turn.
yeah. There's no
And
like 1 mana escape cards, is there?
uh
Because that would be about perfect.
I think there's like enchantments, but not like
Not creatures.
yeah. Now like uh
Like even bad ones would be perfectly fine. All they need to be able to do is escape and be a body.
mm-hmm. See here. Return, graveyard to battlefield.
And like all my employees at work. But
It just has to be a body. Boom. Like return from graveyard is just like it just auto completes when I type it into Scryfall. I type R and it's like return graveyard.
how many
like-
times have you searched that?
Oh my
phrase?
gosh, so many. So many. So I'm not sure if there is. Oh, I forgot that Cauldron Familiar is now a common.
Oh yeah. As of Jumpstart, right?
Yeah. Like
Yep.
can I like make
A
can we
food
make
somehow.
food? Yeah. Um But yeah, so there is like a way to can we like discard bartered cow to make foods for free?
Oh, maybe.
Oh, like but if it's in your graveyard, like it's like you discarded the Phantasmagorian and then you just get a bunch of food off your cow. But yeah. Anyway, there's something to mess with there. Is it going to be good?
I don't know.
Probably not.
I don't play enough Pauper to tell you that.
Yeah, but it is a thing that you can do
Yeah.
that you could not do before. And, you know, if we just like, it just takes a couple like random weird prints or like someone like doing like another graveyard focused set and like moving Narcomoeba to common for some reason.
Right.
And then you just have like the thing.
Yep.
So just keep that in mind that that is like a package now that you can mess with. At least the Dread Return Lotleth Giant, and then you can like find your like other pieces.
However you're going to do it.
Yeah. The next thing is just like generic
Um,
catch. Oh,
Haunted Dead.
Haunted Dead's an uncommon, right?
I thought it had a printing at common.
It might.
2 mana, 2 bodies.
2 mana, 2 bodies. That is the right number. That is like the good math. I don't see it, but I could be wrong.
Oh yeah, not legal in Pauper.
Okay, boo.
Yeah,
We're trying, folks.
we're trying.
Yeah, so. But yeah, like a thing to mess with.
Mm-hmm.
We
Sorry.
might,
Moving on now. I'm done.
moving on now. So next up we have Generous Gift, which is just like a generic catch-all, like it's the white beast within.
Yeah, I mean that's all it is color shifted beast within.
But like
That card kind of caught a lot of hype when it was printed in Modern Horizons, but like I really haven't heard too many people talk about it since then. Like, is this of a caliber of card
that
in
is
current Magic that's
popperable.
playable? Yeah.
I don't know. I was more thinking of it as like if you just need to have like a generic answer to something in your like in your sideboard or something, right? Like you could do this, but I don't know if it is good enough.
Yeah.
Right? Like again, don't play the format enough, but I was like, oh, this is like kind of a generic catch-all answer that is probably pretty okay.
The thing that jumps out to me immediately, and again, I don't play any Pauper at all, let alone enough to have an opinion of the format, but this gets to blow up lands
It does.
for 3 mana. Is I know at one point Tron was pretty big in in the Pauper metagame. I don't know if it still is or
I
not, but
don't think it is as big. The problem with Popper right now, from when I watch Popper videos, when
Mhm.
I typically watch Bryant Cook play combo Popper shenanigans, and
Yeah,
then oh gosh, Thraben Yu will occasionally play Popper, but he's been off the format for a while.
yeah,
Is like mono red is so unbelievably good right now since they put Monastery Swiftspear into the format.
yeah,
Like I don't think Tron is like playable. Like if like you know 30% of your matches are against effectively burn,
yeah. That's
right?
true.
Like that is not a metagame Modern gets like Tron gets to win in Modern or in Pauper.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. Catch-all answers are typically good.
Hmm.
So that was just my thought with that. And I mean, there was for a while a green red like land destruction rampy deck
Hmm.
as well. So this next one is another piece for a different kind of red deck.
Okay.
It's Gutter Snipe.
Oh yeah.
So all of your there was like was it flame something archers, the 2/1 that
Oh
pings
yeah,
for
yeah.
one. There's
The flame tip.
something like that.
Yeah.
Thermo Alchemist. I think
Yep.
there's something from one of the recent Innistrad sets
Yeah.
that like deals the damage when you cast something. This one gets to deal two,
Yep.
and two is twice one.
It sure is.
I did the math. So like it's the kind of the best. It's one more mana, but it is the
Yeah.
best version of this
This
effect
card.
in the format.
Yep.
So if you're like want to do spell slingery red stuff,
I
Gutter
mean,
Snipe.
it's been a while since standard was of this power level, but once upon a time, gutter snipe was standard playable.
Speaking of spell slingery stuff,
Hmm.
we have Murmuring Mystic, the 3 and a blue 1/5 that
Hmm.
makes a 1/1. Is it a bird? I think it's a
It's
bird.
a bird.
So 1/1 flying bird. So like, if you are
Card
like,
was miserable in draft.
oh my god, yeah,
Very, very much not fun to play against.
they like resolve it and like you don't have a removal spell, and then just like they make two birds, and you're like, how do I ever beat this?
Ever beat this? Yeah. You
Yeah.
just get buried by birds.
Which like I don't think would be the case in like Modern Limited.
No.
No. It's funny how that has shifted. But if you're gonna sling spells, this guy's a good guy to like have on your team. If
Does
you
it
want to be
pay
more
off?
of like
Yeah.
a blue spell slingery deck. And again,
Is
like
young Peasy popper legal?
I think that it's still uncommon.
Okay.
I mean, but that's another card that like I could see getting downshifted in the not too distant future. Like
Yeah.
Magic is no longer of that power level.
Right. Once legacy playable.
Yes, once legacy playable, now not
Format
of this power.
defining.
Yes, not of that power level. So yeah, like again, like if you're some mono blue serpent terror deck, like you're casting a bunch of spells, you
Oh,
play
that's true.
this guy, and you're just like bounce your thing, get a bird, counter your spell, get a bird. Now play my 5/5. I've been chipping in with birds, and now like you're in a bad way. Like probably
Yeah,
not totally embarrassing.
I mean, I don't know how many things you want in that slot as like your top end payoff, because like realistically, 4 mana for this guy, your serpents should be
Be 3/4 mana, yeah.
3 4 mana. Like if you're trying to play this on curve, I don't know if you need 12 of
Yeah.
something to pay you
Like I've
off.
seen people with playing the archaeologist in some of the lists. The
Okay.
I forget. I want to say Fallujah, but it's not Fallujah. That's in Iraq.
I
But
mean, it might be on Dominaria as well.
yeah, but like the O3 that like looks at the top three and you get to put an instant or sorcery in your hand, and if you don't, it gets a counter.
Yeah.
Right, to just be like, well, put 3 cards in my graveyard. Now my like thing's cheaper. That might be better than this. But if you wanted to do a different kind of thing, you get this guy. And then we've got Kirk Limbrand Thoughtcast, Reverse Engineer.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's good enough. It's not really been good enough for like standard.
Right.
Like it really wasn't good enough for standard when it was like in standard. It might have been like a one of in some of those like
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I remember
per-
seeing it in deck
like
lists.
paradoxical outcome decks.
Yeah.
But like as like additional thought casts for you to like go through your deck for the affinity type decks is probably pretty good.
Yep.
So again, just a thing that is there. And like I think we went over 11 cards.
2-mana draw 3 cards is pretty powerful, especially when your lands turn the thing on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you'd still have to tap your lands, right? Because it's not affinity, it's
Oh,
it's
yeah,
improvise.
Yeah,
So like you'd want to be tapping like
that's true.
ornithopters and
Yeah.
but like turn 2, like tap my ornithopter, my Tormod's Crypt, and 2 lands and some other dumb thing.
You're a quarter shield.
Hit my quarter shield. Boom. Did it. Format solved. Bonesaw is ready to be tapped. Mox Bonesaw. So yeah, so that's just so we like I think we did 10 cards out of the 41. There are some that are like more interesting than others. I think I picked the most interesting ones that the ones that have like the most kind of like ready homes.
Yeah.
Or
Most
like
potential.
yeah, or the most potential, but I could be wrong.
I think you did a good job of curating the list there.
Thank you. Didn't want to go through all 41. Like we've got places to go, people to see. So sleep to have. So next we have new to Peasant Cube and PDH, and I would say most of these are legendary creatures. Like of the 47 cards that fall into this category that were rare shifted to uncommons.
Yeah.
I didn't count, but I don't know, 30 of them are like uncommon creatures. Like to the point that I just like got sick of listing uncommon creatures, but just kept having to do it.
Yeah.
So
I think this is an unintended side effect. I know you mentioned in the introduction there that you were wondering if Wizards is trying to push PDH for Brad there. But this is probably an unintended sequence, or wow, I can talk today.
Cytoquence, baby.
Cytoquence, an unintended side effect or coincidence
Or consequence.
consequence. One of those things.
One of those things.
Yeah. Of it being a draft set. Like if there has to be a legendary creature in every pack for you to pick as your commander, then like some of them have to be uncommon. And there wasn't uncommon legendaries for a very long time. So it would make sense that they would have to just downshift some for the like 100% reprint set.
Yeah.
They can't just all be like Umezawa and Slimefoot.
I mean, they could. Slimy Boy mirrors for
Slimy
days.
Boy. I do love me some Slimy Boy.
So, I have like a group that I just kind of called the sweepers in air quotes. So there are 2 real sweepers. Extinguish All Hope, which is 4 BB, destroy all non-enchantment creatures.
Yep.
And Kurtar's Wrath. 4 white, destroy all creatures. They can't regenerate. And Threshold, you get 2 1/1 spirits.
Okay.
So like a thing that I found making my cube was that there weren't a lot of sweepers. Slaughter the Strong got downshifted, which is like destroy all things power 4 or greater or something.
Yeah.
And then in black there was like Feast of something, which was 6 mana, give everything neg 4, and then you get the Monarch.
Okay.
So this gives you additional sweeper. So like I put in Kurtar's Wrath over something else and have 2 white wraths, and I cut the Feast of Succession, I think, because you had mentioned, wow, if they wrath the board and get the Monarch, like the game probably just ends.
Yeah.
So they can wrath the board, but they don't get the Monarch. And they will actually get to wrath the board as opposed to give stuff neg 4.
Right.
And then the last one that I kind of put sweepers in air quotes in the show notes was Aethergale. and has
Yeah, I
returned
mean,
6 non-land permanents to their owner's hand.
might as well be a sweeper.
Yeah. That one didn't find its way in, but if you're blue-white control, you get your 2 white sweepers, and that's all you get.
Yeah.
But like if you're doing a peasant cube, this was not an effect that you had previously, especially Kurtar's Wrath.
Now you
Now
got a
you
bunch
do.
of it.
Yeah, now you've got like if like you want your blue-white, if you want blue-white and blue-black to both be control, and you want to put like Aether's Gale in there that like can kind of slide between the 2 archetypes. Hey, I'm the blue-black control player. I'm going to take Aether's Gale as my sweeper with my Extinguish All Hope. Fine. So it's just kind of how you want to build it.
Yeah.
So there are a couple that like went into my. There's a couple of these legendary creatures that went into my cube. The first is Anafenza Kintree Spirit, white for a 2/2. And when a non-token creature enters the battlefield, you bolster one.
Combo shenanigans.
I have a lot of green-white combo nonsense with +1/+1 counters.
Yeah.
And this just kind of fits into that. And is also like a generically kind of good card in I'm like some white-based aggressive deck, and every so often I get to like grow one of my creatures. Right? Like that's just fine, and like a 2-mana 2/2 is not
bolster
embarrassing.
always goes on your smallest creature, though, right? Yeah.
So, or it's your creature with the least toughness.
Yeah.
Right? So like imagine like Anafenza Kintree Spirit into like oh gosh. Platinum the 2 and a white Phyrexian for a 3/1 first strike. Right? Now it's a 4/2 first strike on turn on turn 2 or on turn 3, and then you like play like a 1-drop that now becomes a 2/2.
Yeah.
Right? Like now you're like
Pretty decent.
pretty far ahead. We'll skip this guy. We have Gonti, Lord of Luxury.
Yeah, that's kind of a big deal.
Like that card was like a legitimately good card in standard.
Yeah.
So it's a
Well, not just standard. Like it's play in Pioneer sideboards.
and
I
like
think it still sees play in Pioneer sideboards.
I don't know about the most recent couple vintage cubes, but it was like a vintage cube card.
Yeah.
So it's 2 black for a 2/3, and you Death Touch, and you when it ETBs, you look at the top 4 cards or something of your opponent's library. You get to exile 1, and you just get to cast. You can cast it at any time. Like
Yep. Even if Gonti goes away.
yes, because like the card gets the ability, but like
Yep.
it's just a super solid card. Like again, like
Black 2 for 1.
in black 2 for 1. You know, I've got like white blink card, so like it's a card you can blink for value. Like this plus Ephemerate is just a beating.
Yep.
Yeah, it just does a lot of stuff like in the cube that like again like we didn't have.
Right.
I think I cut Whisper Blood Liturgist, yeah, for it.
I like Whisper too, but
I do as well, but like something had to go.
Yep.
Goreclaw, Terra of Kalsisma. Just a big beater that makes all your big things cheap. And like
For whatever X green stompy archetype you have.
yeah, exactly, like you know, your mono green ramp. Hey, it just makes all your payoffs cheaper. Your red green monsters makes your stuff cheaper. Like it's just generally good.
Yeah, I'd imagine that's also kind of a big pickup for PDH.
Oh yeah, like you now you have like a mana dork in your command zone that like will pay you off for your other things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then Judith, the Scourge Diva.
I like your note here.
Yes, it is Karsten's red-black PDH commander of the future.
Yeah.
Sorry, odds maker. It's Judith time.
Yeah.
So like it kind of
is there an Aristocrats commander in PDH? I have no idea.
I
like
mean,
this has to be the best one, even if there already is.
I mean, Mayhem Devil.
Oh yeah, I guess it was already there.
Yeah, I mean,
Look at that.
I I am not the grand poobah of PDH.
Right.
I am not a Brad. But it seems like with the number and the frequency of legendary uncommon creatures, there might reach a break point where
you
they
can
say
move to just legendary.
where you can just say legendaries.
Yeah.
But like Judith also like encourages like a go wide strategy since she gives everything
Right.
+1
Moves the
+0.
team.
Yeah, so like you're not like tied to like sacking stuff. It's just like beat
Right.
downs with Judith attached.
It's like a cooking show, but instead of cooking, you're beating down. Beatdowns with Judith today on PBS.
There we go. It's just her like whacking someone, being like, run faster into that wall.
Yep.
So another card that like, granted, is 7 years ago standard, but like Rishkar Pima Renegade.
Yeah. Standard staple, multiple archetypes.
Yeah. But is it a 1/1 for 3? It's like
No, it's a 2/2. It's a
2/2.
2/2 that distributes 2/2 or 2 +1/+1 counters,
Mhm.
and gives all your creatures with +1/+1 counters tap to add a mana.
Yeah, so this found its way in. I like was Kalsisma came in for like I forget for what, but I was like, all right, I'm gonna cut like a +1/+1 counters card for Kalsisma, and then that like, gives me a spot to put like Rishkar in, kind of deal. I was like, I have too many 5 mana +1/+1 counter cards. One has to go for Kalsisma, so
Yep.
it was the one from Aether Revolt that gives everything a +1/+1 counter when it enters.
Oh, okay.
I was like, Ridge Gale Tusker. I was like, that's
Yep.
probably too much. But, like, again, like, if you're doing +1/+1 counter shenanigans in green and PDH, like, here's your guy who's going to ramp you into stuff. In your commander, in your, not commander, in your cube, like, you have +1/+1 counter stuff. Like, this card was legit powerful.
Yep.
Another one that I figured out a way to get in the cube was Tygom Sidisi's Hand.
I don't know this card. Was this a commander card?
It was a commander, I think 2017 card.
Okay.
2 blue-black. Skip your draw step. But each upkeep, you get to basically strategic planning.
Okay.
Look at the top 3, put 1 in your hand and the rest in your graveyard. And then
That's
black
pretty good.
tap, exile X cards. Target creature gets -X, -X. So
It's pretty good also.
I had it. I had Dinrova Horror, which is just like generic thing you play.
Right.
But this, like, I was like, well, if you're like a blue-black reanimator deck, this is filling your graveyard.
Yep.
If you're a blue-black control deck, is giving you like a semi-repeatable source of card advantage. Like, it kind of seemed like it did more than Dinrova Horror. Like, it's just like 6 mana, bounce a thing, have a 4/4. It's like this just does more to support like other themes in the archetypes or in the colors.
Makes sense.
And then Tishar, Ancestors Apostle. So 3 and a white for a 2/2 flyer that lets you cast a historic card, mana value 3 or less from your graveyard.
Whenever you cast a historic spell.
Whenever
right?
you cast a historic spell, you get to return it, right?
Yeah, return to the battlefield.
Yeah. Card does nothing but nonsense.
Yeah.
Like the Czech guys, like one like arena opens
Yeah.
playing this card with Kethis. Just does nonsense. Like,
Yep. Definitely a combo piece. I don't know if there's anything at this rarity that combos with it. But a fun cube card. Also,
Yeah, like-
you can just get up to all sorts of shenanigans.
or it like I have a bunch of like modular, like the white
Oh yeah, it
modular
works great with
creatures.
modular. Yeah.
So my thought was like, worst case, it is like a value engine. Like if you're like
Yeah.
some sort of like white or like red white like aggressive artifact deck, you could have like Tishar at your top end to
Yeah.
like rebuy some of your earlier things that you like threw away and got for value, or
Arclight,
just
Mauser.
yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Like those guys, or like your blue white, because like a lot of the ninjas from like oh gosh, from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty were also artifacts as well.
Yeah.
So like you have a bunch of these things that were also artifacts that you could like bring back.
Yep. They count as historic.
Yeah, because they're artifacts. So like there's the oh gosh, I think it's from Phyrexia. All will be one, like the Flash 2/2 like artifact cat that taps something.
Mm-hmm.
Right, you like tap something, it dies. You then play a historic card. You bring it back and tap something.
Yep.
And like you can just like loop it. So I was like, well, this is an interesting thing. And then this other one, I didn't think it was better than Nantuko Husk in terms of like being a free sack outlet. But Yahenni Undying
it's
Partisan,
more aggressive than Nantuko Husk.
It is. But like but like Yahenni Undying Partisan, like indestructible 2/2 for 3 that like
with haste.
With haste, it's indestructible when you sack a creature.
Mm-hmm.
And then if one of their creatures dies, he gets a +1/+1 counter. So it's this like free sack outlet like beatdown card. I thought that like Nantuko Husk is more like combo-y and like more explosive than Yahenni, but like it definitely does a unique thing.
Yep.
And like the card never made it into standard, but it always looked like it should. It was like right on that cusp.
Oh, that's not true. It's playing standard.
It did?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Absolutely.
But yeah, like again, like a couple of
Actually,
these,
I think I saw playing Pioneer for a minute too.
like Yahenni, Tashar, Rishkar, and Gonti, maybe to a lesser extent Judith. I was like surprised that they put them at uncommon. Like it was like that, like they felt like decidedly rare level cards, and it was weird that they're now uncommons.
Yeah, that is strange. Magic has changed a lot, though.
It has. Like that is very much like Gonti was like a reasonable rare that you would be like fine getting in your draft and like fine putting in your standard deck. And now for the same mana, you get a 4/5 that has Death Touch and kills them by not attacking. Right. Are you participating in a mandatory game action? You will lose. Yep. Amazing. So you're like Shieldred versus Gonti. Huh. So it's like it gets to eat two X's. Like Shieldred gets to eat
everything.
4 X's. It's like, oh, that's way better. All right. So in our purely like financial tier of I've wanted this but never felt like buying it / paying for it. These were mythic to rare shifts, and there are 30 of these, including a like promo. So the promo is the Godzilla buy a box promo.
Okay.
Now has a purely magic version. He didn't like make it on the list because I was doing it and I had to find a line of how much I was going to like say, and I picked 8 and above, except for the first one because it actually sees like 60 card format play.
Yeah,
and that's Days Undoing. Got downshifted to rare. It's currently $6. It's the cheapest printing, but that's not bad.
No, that was an expensive card. It was. I remember going through last time I did a buy list order, and I think Days Undoing was like $30 or $32 or something along those lines.
Yeah, so I didn't go quick behind the scenes. The whole thing just crashed and burned. Yeah, but we're back. We didn't lose too much.
Unprecedented for the pod.
Unprecedented and terrifying.
Yeah,
an hour into the podcast, and it's 10 o'clock and it's bedtime.
Yes.
But I will say for us, we did a good job here.
Oh, the soundboard makes a reappearance.
Yeah, it crashed and we were. I realized we hadn't used it today. I haven't added anything, but I realized we hadn't used it. So, we were on what was it called?
Gisela Blade of Gold Knight.
Yeah, it's $12 for some reason. It's a Commander thing, I guess.
Yep.
Never seen anyone in the 60 card format play it. Maelstrom Wanderer is $10 right now, and it's just been like printed a ton recently.
Yeah.
So this is its first time at rare, so I imagine it's going to like go down in price rather quickly.
Collapse.
Mangara the Diplomat is $8. He somehow made an appearance on the podcast last week when I was like, "What was that stupid 4-mana white card that let you like draw cards and people attacked or something?"
We were talking about taxing stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Miri Weatherlight Duelist, another like commander kind of card.
Well, it's a commander set, so that's to be expected.
Yeah. Nahiri the Lithomancer, the Planeswalker.
Yep.
That can be your commander was $9. Scourge of the Throne, some big dragon that gives you the Monarch.
I think that one used to be like ridiculously expensive because if I remember correctly, during mystery boosters, like this was one of the cards to pull because it was like more than $50.
Gotcha. So it's $9 now.
Yeah.
Like you get a 5/5 on your upkeep if you're the Monarch.
Yeah.
Waking Sun's Avatar, the big dino that wraps all non-dinos, is $9 right now. And then the best of this dino, Zakama Primal Calamity, is $16.
Yep.
So if you were waiting on these for a commander deck or the sideboard of Pioneer Lotus Field, they are cheap now.
Yep. And like you said, they're going to get cheaper.
Yes, this is the highest they're going to be for a while.
Yep.
Until the set is opened for a while, and then like they may climb back up as they get scarce again, but they're gonna get significantly cheaper.
Yeah.
Like I would not be surprised if you could get like Days Undoings for like $2.
Which I mean you should probably do because I don't imagine that's an effect they're gonna print all that commonly.
Yeah.
So might be a good spec at $2.
And then my last tier is You Greedy Monsters. There are 12 cards that they upshifted in rarity.
Yeah.
Now there are I will say there is a chunk of Portal 3 Kingdoms cards, which I kind of give them a pass on.
Yes, I do. That's about what I was alluding to when we were doing the intro.
Yeah. But some of these are kind of like not forgivable.
Yeah.
So Steel Shaper's Gift, 1 mana to go search your deck for an enchantment, for an equipment. It's a $12 uncommon that they shifted to rare.
That's kind of crazy. Crazy that it was a $12 uncommon, but also that they felt the need to push it to rare. I'd imagine they did it just because of the secondary market value, right?
Yeah, I think that it's very much like we need some rares that have some value and things that need to be reprinted. So we're going to make Steel Shaper's Gift one of those. Because, like, Open the Armory is 1 more mana.
Yeah.
And an uncommon.
Right.
So, you know, I couldn't even, I was like, well, maybe they're like, all tutors need to be rare. But I'm like, well, no. Like, Open the Armory is, like, the same card, but it gets, but 1 mana more and it's an uncommon.
Yeah.
Personal Tutor, the first of the Portal or Portal 3 Kingdoms cards. Searches for is it an instant or sorcery and puts it on top, but it's a sorcery.
Yep.
So it's a little bit worse than Mystical Tutor, which is banned in Legacy.
Correct.
This is what is it called? Like a part of Doomsday. One of the Doomsday builds in Legacy is the Personal Tutor build.
Yep. Which I imagine wasn't super popular just because it was so hard to get personal tutors. Like maybe that build gets more popular now.
Yeah, now that they're going to be presumably cheaper.
Yeah, like for people that don't know a ton about Doomsday from like a deck pilot's perspective is all about finding the right power or the right pile for the right matchup at the right time. So the more piles you can include in your deck, the better your like matchup's going to be across the board.
And like personal tutor is just 4 extra copies of Doomsday.
Right.
Right. So like you want to Doomsday as quickly as possible.
Yep.
And have like the most flexible piles or the most like knowledge of like what your opponent could do to like make the right piles.
Yep.
Then Loyal Retainers is a $40 uncommon from Portal 3 Kingdoms. It got an Invocation reprint that I played for a while.
I have like a couple. I think I bought 2 of the Invocation.
That's its only other printing before this.
Yeah.
And then
what deck was that for? That was Tin Fins?
That was yeah. Tin Fins, or I think the even more appropriate name is Zubara Ice Station.
Yeah.
That's when I had with Dark Depths.
Yeah.
And Tin Fins plus Dark Depths. And then Sun Shun, the Lord of Wu, and again I will point out he ain't nothing to f with. And it's $122 rare that got moved to Mythic, but again, like it's because it's Portal 3 Kingdoms.
Well, it's also because of Post Malone, I think.
Oh, does he like that card or something?
Well, like when he made his debut on the Magic scene, it was on a what's that podcast? Commander or
Game
whatever.
Nights?
Yeah, Game Nights. It was on a Game Nights episode, and he played the horsemanship guy.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I think that drove the price up a little bit.
Gotcha. And then capture of Zheng Zhao. Sure. I said it with confidence.
Close enough.
It is a $350 time warp from Portal 3 Kingdoms. Again, rare to Mythic. So, these in particular, and then some of the other cards, they're not expensive because people play them.
Yeah.
They're expensive because they've only had like one random printing, or like they had one printing a million years ago.
Yeah.
So like all the Portals 3 Kingdom cards, this has happened with some other Portals 3 Kingdom cards in the last few years have been reprinted.
Imperial Recruiter.
That have just which is now like I saw like $8. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, that's crazy. They used to be so expensive.
There's like one of those like red, take an additional turn.
Yep.
And then you lose the game. That was like $150. It's $5 now.
Yeah.
So these are all expensive because of supply, not demand.
Correct.
As the supply increases, the demand will probably not, and so they're gonna get cheap. Then Spellseeker, the creature that lets you go get a spell that's 1 or 2 mana.
Yeah, I mean, I can actually see this as a Mythic, though. It's probably Mythic power level, and maybe should have been Mythic in the first place. But this is also one that's expensive due to scarcity. It was I think its only printing was Battle Bond, right? So it was a premium product.
I think I have a couple because like there was like an Aloran deck.
Yeah.
That played it. But yeah, it's $17. Extra planar lenses, which I probably should have looked up what it did.
You name a land and lands you control with the same name make an extra mana. Or all lands with the same name.
All lands of that name.
Because I know this had something with snowlands. You could, like, if you played all snow plains and played extra planar lens, like the chances of your opponents having snowlands were less, and like it was just like a one-sided mana flare.
Extra planar lenses enters the battlefield. You may exile target land you control. Whenever a land with the same name as the exiled card is tapped for mana, its controller adds 1 mana of any type that land could produce. So there you go. So basically the same thing.
Yeah.
But you do have to go down a land drop.
Yeah.
It's $75. It was like printed in dark steel, I think.
It was a masterpiece too.
Oh, it was in Mirrored In and then a masterpiece. But like a masterpiece really isn't a reprint.
It was one of the masterpieces I opened.
Yeah, there you go. Insurrection, which another one I looked up and now I forget what it does. It was $10. It's gone from rare to mythic. Another commander card.
Yeah.
Savage Beating, I think, gives you an additional combat step.
I don't remember.
But it's $20. So all the ones I mentioned up to this point have like one main set printing. I wasn't counting like expeditions and masterpieces, but all of the cards I mentioned have one printing. Then we have Grave Pact, which is a $25 rare that is now going to Mythic. And then Bribery, which is an $11 rare that's going to Mythic. These two have a bunch of printings, but they're from a long time ago.
Yeah.
Like 8th, 9th edition, and then they just stopped printing them.
Yeah, I think Grave Pact was 10th edition, but I'm not sure when the last time they made Bribery was.
But it's been a while.
Yeah.
So these are, again, more than likely supply issues, not so much demand issues.
Right.
So they'll probably, even at Mythic, they'll probably get a little bit, they might get cheaper. The Portal 3 Kingdom cards are definitely going to get cheaper because there's like 3 of them now.
Yeah.
And there will be more than 3 of them.
Yes.
When this is done. And then the last one is just a cash grab.
Yeah, Chad got his hands all over this one.
Bro, these white nerds, they need ramp, bro. They'll pay anything for it, bro. It's Smothering Tithe.
Yeah.
From a standard set rare to a pre-con inclusion to now an $18 rare that's moving to Mythic.
Crazy.
It is a staple in every white commander deck.
Yep.
And it just feels like they were like, this card's $18, we should make it a Mythic.
For sure. I mean, we literally had it a few years ago, and its first printing wasn't at Mythic. And
it was
its first
rare.
printing was while they were at least considering Fire Design. So
yeah. So there's something I think that this set and all these rarity changes kind of like brings up for collecting.
Yeah. Don't do it.
Makes it way harder.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I think Wizards has shown recently that they're willing to aggressively reprint stuff that they had not reprinted before.
Yeah.
Right. Like they had not hardly touched any of the Portal 3 Kingdoms stuff.
Yeah.
And they've just been like, it seems like every supplemental product, they're just like, here's some more Portal 3 Kingdoms stuff.
Yeah.
And so like, if you have stuff that is expensive due to limited printings, right? You've got some, I can't even think of something, but like some card from Darksteel, or Rise of the Eldrazi that has like one printing and it's $15, right? Like if you're not going to play it, it might be time to get off of it because like it's on a list somewhere of things to reprint.
Oh yeah.
Right. So
Chad's like Santa with that reprint equity, making his list and checking it twice.
Yeah. So like where it used to be, you could like hold on to cards for a while and like feel, they weren't reserve list, which if you listen to the pre-show, there's some talk about the reserve list. They're not reserve list, but they were like, oh, this isn't going to get reprinted. This is like kooky and weird.
Yeah.
No longer the case.
Nothing is sacred anymore.
Nothing is sacred. Can we put enough juice in this to make people buy it so we can hit our next quarter's numbers? Yes or no? Right. And they only did a few, but they downshifted cards from Zendikar Rising, which just happened.
Right.
Right? Like 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think so. 2 years ago.
Right? And cards from 2019, like they're downshifting Throne of Eldraine cards.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about them, but they downshifted like 1 or 2 Throne of Eldraine cards. So
Crazy.
Where it used to be, hey, this isn't going to get this probably going to get reprinted for a few years. And then I can't imagine it getting downshifted like ever.
Right.
Right now it's just like, hey, Judith was a rare 4 years ago. Nope, it's an uncommon now.
Hey, wait for Return to Eldraine, where Brazen Borrower is going to be at uncommon.
Yeah. So like there's a lot of the equity that you used to kind of have with like the normal pace of reprints and rarity changes, I think is completely totally out the window now.
Yeah.
So like you can't, I don't think you can feel safe holding on to stuff.
Yeah.
So as I've talked about in the pre-show and stuff, I'm doing another like purge of like cards.
Mhm.
And it is very much where before it was like I'm trying to hold on to stuff.
Stuff that you'd play.
Yeah. Now I'm very much like I'm only like there's like the line of things you might play.
Yeah.
And then like if you like look yourself in the mirror and go like, are you really ever going to play this card? And you're like, no, I'm not. I'm getting rid of those cards. Like I know I have 4 Bitter Blossoms.
Yeah.
I'm like, those are $20. Bitter Blossom is no longer like modern Magic power level.
Right. Yeah, I've got my Secret Lair ones.
Yeah. But like that as an example, like I'm not gonna play that card. I should probably move it.
Yeah.
Right. Now, what I had said before some recent developments that that may or may not impact the reserve list that I put up in Discord, that they're going to print like
playtest
non-tournament legal playtest cards of existing cards. Why would you possibly do that? Yeah. To skirt the reserve list. I was saying, the best way to kind of get value for your cards is to like trade them in for credit. And then I'm doing that and basically being like, what reserve list cards do I want? Or like, what like cards will I realistically like play?
Yeah.
Right. If I wasn't on team, they're probably gonna ban the One Ring. I would probably put One Rings in that camp of cards I would buy because I'm going to play a One Ring deck at some point.
Right.
But like if you're holding onto a bunch of cards because you think they're gonna like hold or like maintain or like go up in value, I think that's way harder to do now.
Yes, absolutely. I think all of the rules that we used to make Magic financial decisions based on have basically gone out the window.
Yeah, like it's very much like we have to use our reprint equity because if we don't, Papa Hasbro is going to be homeless.
Yeah. So
we've got to burn as much reprint equity as possible to make sure that the shareholders are happy. Yeah. So, like if you were someone who like wants to play elves or an elves adjacent deck in Legacy, maybe buy a Gaia's Cradle instead of having a bunch of like $20 cards that you might not play, but you're like, maybe they'll be $30 one day.
Yeah.
It's like probably not going to be $30 one day because it's more likely that the next like Commandery product or something or the next Secret Lair is going to be your exact card reprinted, and like the version you have will be like less desirable.
Yeah.
Or God forbid they print it in a regular set and it has like 13 different versions and like yours becomes the least desirable of the 13.
Right.
And you're just like, well, it went from $20 to $2. And I mean, there's also, cash is king. So, getting off of them for cash is also a reasonable game plan.
Yep.
So, yeah, it is. The rules of holding and collecting Magic cards have changed greatly since 2019.
Yeah, we went over some of that stuff in the pre-show also. So if you're interested to hear our full thoughts, you should check out our Patreon, sign up, chip a couple bucks in, and listen to the pre-show because there was some good stuff in there about that topic in particular.
Yeah. I will say that like I think like 4 years ago, like 2019, I think we were concerned about power creep kind of phasing cards out.
Well, I mean, that also.
Yeah. Well, I think in 2019 it was like, oh man, cards are getting so much more powerful. The old cards aren't particularly playable anymore.
Yeah.
So they're going down in value. Rest in peace, Tarmogoyf.
Yes.
But now you've got that combined with we'll print anything at any time in any numbers anywhere.
Yep.
And it's just like, okay.
Maro
So
with
nothing.
take a line and sneezed instead. Liquidate.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh my God, guys, sell it all. But yeah, like I don't. So like I think it's just way harder to like, you know, have boxes and boxes and boxes of cards.
Yeah.
I think we've said this before. I would not want to own a game store.
No.
Like, how can you like your inventory is like, I don't know, Argentinian money.
Right.
It's just like at
Wheelbarrows.
the start of the day and at the end of the day, it goes down in value.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So on one hand, I think the rarity changes are like really exciting for the lower rarity formats because they're gonna like really shake things up.
Yeah.
But from a collector's point of view, I think there's a little bit of like, what am I supposed to do? So
what am I supposed to do?
If
when you find out, let me know.
I will let you know. If I figure it out, I will let you know. I don't know, like from a game point of view, like I think it is good to make the cards cheaper so that more people can play your game.
Right.
But for like the people that like enjoy your game from like a collecting point of view, like this is like super bad for them.
Well, I mean, there's a flip side to that too, though, and that's that Magic is unique in hobbies where realistically you can play this game. You could play this game for years, and as long as you were smart with buying into cards, moving into positions on cards, you could get a reasonable portion of your investment back out of it. I'm not saying you're going to make money, but as long as you weren't stupid with how you bought into cards, you could probably come out even or with a very slight loss. Whereas you look at basically any other hobby that exists and it's a losing proposition.
And I think Magic is moving more towards the losing proposition.
Well, right, but that makes it harder for newer players, I think. I mean, if you're selling somebody an $80 pre-con deck that is going to get reprinted into the ground, that $80 investment is going to be worthless. Whereas, you know, I'm looking at a whole shelf full of pre-cons, some of which are $200, $400.
Yeah.
So,
it makes it much more difficult to like get someone into your game and keep them in the game.
Yeah.
Because eventually they get priced out from either expensive $10 draft $10 per pack draft products, $80 pre-cons, and then just like, you know, I'm losing my shirt every time I open a pack. Right. Why would I open a pack? Right, like, you know, I'm no longer getting the, like, you know, endorphin gambler's high of, oh man, I just cracked some packs.
Yep.
So now I'm just, like, opening packs and losing money. I need to stop this. So, yeah, it is very different. Like I said, I am going through my cards with an eye to, like, how much of this can like not be here.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you know, if I have to evacuate for a hurricane, can I grab one binder and have or like 1 to 2 binders and have the majority of the value of my collection in the car?
Yeah.
and like put it under my pillow at the hotel.
Don't put it in the safe. The safe
Don't put it in
safe.
Yeah. So it does not like get like blown away when the hurricane comes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. As opposed to, I've got like 20 boxes full of like 3,000 cards each.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I hope this doesn't get blown away because like,
yeah,
it's going to be hard to explain. So, all right. So with all that and some technical difficulties, I think we have a show.
It's something, all right.
it is something. So if you want to reach out to us on social media, say hi, have show ideas, all that stuff. Facebook, Discord, X, Twitter, the artist formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah.
Will be all that stuff is in the description, so go check it out.
Yeah, hit us up. If you're looking to support the show, there's 2 ways you can do it. The first is with our TCG Player affiliate link, casualtryhard.com/TCG. Follow that link on over to TCG Player. Anything you purchase after that will help to support the show. We would really appreciate it. If you want to support us more directly and get access to some exclusive content, like I mentioned just a minute ago, patreon.com/casualtryhardmtg is where you can do that. And chip a couple bucks in, however much you feel like you get worthwhile out of us. And you get access to our show notes, our pre-show, and when I have givebacks to send out, you get access to those as well. If you're a patron, make sure you let me know what kind of stuff you want to see in the givebacks for not the next round, but the one after. I will need to put in an order for those, so I'll have to get to work on them at some point soon. They take a while to get made. But if you got any ideas, hit me up. Like Brian said, all the links are in the description there.
Yeah. All right. So with that, we'll catch you on the internet.
We'll catch you on the internets.